G'day guys, and welcome to the Buck update for this period. It's been a couple of months since I sent out my last email, and I thought just because of what we've done, I would do a video this time to help show a few of the things. So sit back and enjoy. So term 2 has been really busy. As always, plenty of schools coming in, interns working hard. A bunch of interns this year have done phenomenally at continuing to connect really well with the kids as they've come into camp, and we've really seen some gold in conversations that have come out, some really great ministry highlights that have come through in this time. So that's really been awesome to see their growth. They've been ticking off their activities really well and being able to grow in that manner, because the more activities they tick off, the more they can stay with the same groups and keep on building those relationships, which is what we really value at Coola. Some Coolamatong updates are the building project is just about finished. We are nearly there. The last real part to do currently on the plan, until we come up with something new, is the completion of the late camp activity shed. Now that is so close. It's been raised, as I was talking about in my last email. It's been raised, legs are down, it's all clad around the outside, and Andy and some other help are working on getting the inside sorted. So the toilets are being fitted out and our storeroom is being fitted out. We've looked at how we can start inserting our vertical activities, so things are really coming along nicely. Our farm camp shed is just about done with the finishing of the cladding on the inside, the timber cladding. So it's really great, and thank you for your support and prayer in being able to make that happen. It's even so obvious in the last couple of years, having these extra buildings done, that even though it is physical stuff, it's not spiritual. Even though it's physical, it has enabled us to run such improved programs that we can not have to focus on the logistics, but focus on that relationship again. So thank you very much. We have also been working towards the Northern Territory trip. What a ride it was. So we actually got back just a couple of days ago. In the preparation time, we did some training. So we did a course called Australians Together, a number of sessions where we work through the viewpoints of the Europeans and the viewpoints of the Indigenous people, and how over time they slowly come together, and ways that we can work together with our Indigenous brothers and sisters to learn to love them better and to be able to move forward as one nation. So that was really interesting and really great to do. It was actually quite confronting in a lot of ways to see just how atrociously the European people have treated Indigenous in the past. So I hope, it's my prayer, that as a country we can work together to move forward from here, as we talked about in Australians Together. I can highly recommend the program if you guys ever have to do any of that sort of work yourself, so check it out. To get us up to the Northern Territory, we asked the interns to do some fundraising, so each of them had to fundraise $1,200. I can happily, proudly say that they made that target really well. We're able to get some videos back to their home churches and that sort of thing to reach out to let people know what we were doing. So our trip to the Northern Territory was all about joining in with Ox and Scripture Union Northern Territory to jump on board with a camp called Youngbulla Camp, which essentially translates into Young Fella Camp. That was going to be at a place called Bunitjal, which was a community area, and be with just Indigenous kids and Indigenous leaders. Now sadly we couldn't quite make that one because of the lockdowns that were happening and COVID at just the right time. The Aboriginal Lands Council stopped all permits to community, so we couldn't get to that part. But the second part of our trip we could get to. So the second part was to go to Catherine and to run a Kids Games program. Now Kids Games is a combination of sports and just staying and being with some fun free time activities like down ball, skipping, that sort of thing, and drawing, as well as combining it with some drama and Bible knowledge, some Bible engagement. And honestly, I think it was, even though we did half of what we expected to, it was such a rich time of connection. It was a real time of challenge for some of our interns, of learning that they could interact with Indigenous people in certain ways and how they interacted as a team, but overall really, really rewarding, especially seeing as they had done the fundraising to get themselves there. I think they really valued just what they got from it, so it was a really great trip. Laura and I really valued having some 9, 10 babysitters we could just palm the kids off to as we were helping out as well, so that was pretty good as well. Some prayer points that came up from our time in the Northern Territory really revolve around Catherine. So Catherine's not in a great place right now. It's got numerous pastors not in churches because they've either retired, there's been one in a severe car accident, and others have just been seeking for a very long time. So if you could pray for pastors to be coming into Catherine, that'd be fantastic. There's such a need there. We'd also like you to be praying for the people that are there in the congregations, for them to have a heart to serve. So SUNT is up there to run kids games alongside the churches, but we actually had very few, if any, leaders from the local churches. We would love for prayer to see local leaders coming alongside SU to grow a culture of serving their local community there, for them to have leaders that are growing future leaders, to have a kids games that doesn't actually need people to come from Victoria to help run it anymore. That's what we'd love to see happen. So if you're praying for that, that would be fantastic. We'd also love for you to be praying for our interns. After this trip, we've had some things stirring in hearts. We've had some passions arise, or that they've been able to really understand and see that they are good at. So we'd love for you to be praying for our interns, that they can take this passion, take these strengths that they've been given and grow them for God's glory, and for them to grow closer to Jesus as always through this time. The Bucks themselves, we're doing pretty well. We've been able to get away on a couple of holidays in between the lockdowns and stuff like that. We're able to explore the New South Wales coast there at one point. That was pretty great. We have had a couple of interesting things. Poor Tobias has had a couple of surgeries. One of them, the major one that he had, he fell over and smashed his tooth, one of his big front ones there. Thankfully it is just his baby tooth, but he managed to snap it straight in half and was just dangling on by the nerve. And it took us a little bit to get down to Melbourne eventually, by the dentist here giving us a recommendation to the Women's and Children's emergency. Got down to Melbourne and was told to wait overnight and wait on the results of a COVID test. So that was a long drawn out process, which was pretty stressful. Thankfully, God provided. The next day, even though they said, we're not sure if we're even going to get in today, God provided, and we were into surgery, and after a nice smooth surgery, it was all dealt with really quickly, and we saw the change in Tobias straight away, from not making a sound to talking all the way home in the car. So that was a real blessing in the end. Thank you very much for listening to my update. It is always good to be able to touch base with you guys. I'd love to hear from you, what you guys are up to. So thanks so much for listening, and I look forward to catching up with you guys soon. See ya.